Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Tyler McGee. I'm the president of Unbridled Insurance, and we just want to take a minute and tell you about some things that are going on here at Unbridled. We're making a big step into what is our strategic plan by starting this year our private client division, and we have kicked that off with the hire of Mr. Joshua Dodge over here. Today, we're going to have a conversation about what high net worth insurance is, why you should care, and maybe talk about some things that you've never thought about before as it pertains to home, auto, boat, all that kind of stuff, personal insurance on the high net worth client. So Joshua, thanks for being here today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Having this conversation. So as a prelude to our conversation, why don't you just give everyone a quick overview of what high net worth insurance is and what your experience has been in this industry, this market?
Absolutely. My name is Joshua Dodge. I've been in insurance about 6 years now, about 3.5, 4 of them. I've been in the high net worth sector. High net worth insurance is insurance for high net worth individuals, whether that be homes, their autos, their boats, jewelry, paintings, whatever it might be. What was the second part of that question? I'm sorry.
And just your experience, like how long you've been in the industry, some of the things that you've insured over the years, and just what your experience has been.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've worked a lot with doctors, lawyers, and dentists. And a lot of oil executives as well. Those specific markets and those type of people. I've worked on accounts from anywhere from 10 to 15,000 all the way up to $500,000.
Yeah.
Those accounts require a lot more attention. However, but yeah, that's pretty much been my experience. A lot of it's been in high net worth. Personal lines.
So as I began to educate myself on what the major differences were, I guess, in kind of your standard markets for people, you think Travelers, Safeco, these Mercury, these markets that are great carriers that serve a very specific purpose, really for, I would say, the majority of people. And then you have these other markets that hold themselves out, some like Pure, who they would say they're only for high net worth individuals. Yeah. And so when I looked at those carriers, I was really blown away by some of the differences that exist both in product and service. So let's dive into that a little bit for everyone. In your experience, what are some of the major differences clients can expect to either feel or sense with working with one of these high net worth carriers versus just one of a good standard market that is not specifically put together to serve high net worth individuals? Yeah,
absolutely. You can kind of feel it in every step along the way, whether it be from the people that you get to deal with and work with, to the actual product, and that's built into the insurance policy. It's all very different. High net worth carriers will tend to cater to more high net worth needs. You know, nicer cars, bigger houses, cybersecurity, jewelry, painting, stuff like that.
So talk. I've experienced that in some of my conversations, I guess, where the people in servicing, especially claims in these areas that are in these high net worth markets, they just understand how the lifestyle, both income, assets, all those needs are put together for someone who's a high earner. But explain to us some of the product differences. So one of the big differences is the way some of these products are set up. And so what is your experience on some of the product differences that exist in the high net worth space versus just a standard market space?
Like a big one is cybersecurity. There are some carriers that will do it, but not go up to the limits that like a Chubb or Pure will.
Right.
And that's very big. The high net worth individuals, they love cybersecurity. It's an absolute must. The umbrellas, they'll cover a lot more. You'll need a lot, you'll need higher underlying liability limits, but the umbrellas are definitely, like I said, cater to a lot more.
This is one that blew me away. So we have a client who is in our private client service, and he has a $10 million umbrella currently. And when we looked at moving it to a standard carrier, who I won't mention by name, they declined to write a $10 million umbrella because of a $3,000 hail claim on an auto that was, happened 2 years before. And I was just like dumbfounded at this. I'm like, how does a $3,000 hail claim affect you writing a high value umbrella. And what I realized is that for these markets, like for these lower standard markets, a $10 million umbrella, there's a ton of hoops to jump through. There's a lot of underwriting that takes place, but that's not the case with these high net worth specific markets, right?
Not necessarily as much. There will be a little, but,
Sure.
and you know, the higher you go, there are different limits,
Right.
and different divisions that you'll go through, but they're a lot less lenient, especially on the lower side of things. But when you get up to 25 million, yeah, they're gonna want to know everything.
Sure. Yeah.
They're gonna want to see everything
At that point. But I mean, again, the stark difference between a $10 million umbrella and a $25 or $50 million umbrella, like that makes sense why you're going to have to start jumping through other hoops. But everything else on this person was clean except for that one thing. And to go back to it, their policy was no claims. So if you have any claims, you can't get a $10 million umbrella with them. And that's just not what we experience in these preferred markets.
Yeah, even a non-surchargeable, you know, like hail.
Right.
You won't find that in like with Chubb, Pure Edge.
Yeah. The other one that was interesting to me as I started doing a little bit of research was like domestic employee practices. If you've got people on payroll at your house who are childcare, nanny, they're caretakers of the property, things like that. A lot of people think about EPL for their company, right? Because they have employees and sexual harassment, discrimination, all these things. But how much more possible is that for that to happen in the confines of your home where your guard is down versus in your company? And so that was something that I saw that, you know, some of these new markets that we're carrying cater to. It's a product that they have that I hadn't even heard about till we started really digging into it.
Yeah, it's a great part of the policy. You really kind of wish that you don't ever have to use it, but you're glad it's there.
Right.
So,
well, and speaking of that, I think one of the biggest things that I've heard personally from clients and even friends who are clients of other agencies of the difference in a high net worth carrier. And I have one example that I'll share in a second, but it's the attention that you get around a claim, especially a large claim. Talk a little bit about if the unthinkable happens and, you know, hopefully nobody has to walk through this, but if you do have to experience a large claim and you're with one of these high net worth markets, what's your experience going to be like? How's it going to be different than with anybody else?
So, you know, your first call should be your agent. We'll walk you through everything, step by step. I've noticed a lot of the higher net worth carriers, when it came to their claims, that they were much more efficient and they were very good at what they did. You very rarely have problems or run into some issues, especially, you know, with the policies being so big, they want to make sure that everything's in line.
Right.
I've just had a lot better experience with high net worth carriers versus standard market.
So I told you one of my friends has a home insured through Cincinnati and home auto art umbrella. And in 2018, he had a massive, what ended up being a 7-figure claim at his house because a tornado came through here in Preston Hollow and just like ripped his house apart. Wildly enough, he had $1 million worth of art in his house insured through Cincinnati, and none of it was damaged. Like I don't understand how that happened, but he said that, you know, when they got to their house the morning after the storm to kind of see what had happened, it was difficult to get there, and sure enough, they'd been hit hard, and so he called his agent. And his agent got somebody on the phone right away from Cincinnati. They started talking to him. And he said, you know, as he was talking to that claims person, she said, you know, I've put together a 3-person team. We have a few, like literally just a handful of claims there in your area. So we have a 3-person team. It's boarding a flight today. We'll be there and we'll walk you home with you. And they literally flew from the Northeast and just went into his house together and took care of everything. And we talk about the idea of indemnification, putting things back the way they were before. And he said, like, he has zero complaint. And to their credit, I mean, he said, there's no chance that I would switch my insurance at this point. The level of care and service he gave, and he's a businessman. He understands that, you know, he just went into the black for him, into the red for them of like, he's probably never, that one claim, he's been paying $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year for his home to be insured for a long time, with the thoughts of like probably never going to use it, except for he did, and was made completely whole financially just through that one occurrence. So I think claims and the claims personnel is a huge factor of something you get a major lift with these markets. So Switching gears just a little bit and moving from a focus of the carrier to focusing on us as the agency, what are some things that people, if they're thinking, you know, I fall in this category of a high net worth individual and I've never worked with someone that specializes in high net worth insurance, what are some things they can expect to sense or feel from working with us in our Pride and Climate division than, you know, just your average agency that's not set up to really service the needs of these people?
We have, I guess right now, 1-2-man team.
Yep.
You know, every time that you call, you're going to get me.
Yep.
Or you, or Tyler. It's more individualized. We cater specifically to your needs. You know, you're not going to call and get someone different each time.
Right.
Excuse me. But yeah, like I said, it's more individualized. We cater more to their needs. Sorry, I'm kind of blanking.
No, you're good. And I think that one of the things that's that you mentioned to me that is a big deal for people in this category of things that you have taken care of is in your previous experience, there's a lot of people that you service who really didn't like the idea of automatic EFTs or EFTs at all, right? Absolutely. And so how do you help them get around that in this kind of automated world and taking care of payment schedules and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, they weren't a big fan of EFTs. So what we would do is about a day or two, depending on their job, you know, what they did, before their payment schedule, we would call them and remind them or just take payment there.
Yeah.
They loved it. We found it to be a lot more efficient. I'm not a big EFT guy either, so I definitely understand where they're coming from.
Right.
You know, and limiting the risk. But it's just little things like that, you know, that you're not going to get, you know, you might not get at another agency. Yeah,
and I think, you know, it seems like a minor thing, but if you're someone who started keeping large amounts of cash in your account, my experience is those people are trying to limit access, right? Because, you know, it's one thing to have insurance on the account like FDIC, or if you know, something happens that wasn't supposed to happen, but I guess probably the best case scenario, it still takes time to get made whole, right? So if you can limit your access to that account and you can work with somebody who understands that risk and gives you another option to maneuver around it, I think that's a huge benefit. One that honestly wasn't on my radar until we started talking, which I think is a huge value.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me, if someone's sitting today and thinking through like, man, I feel like I fit the bill on this, and I feel like this is something that you know, I'm interested in. I want to have a conversation about what's it look like. Maybe even they want their policies looked at. Would I really even benefit from moving over? If they just want to have that conversation, what's the best way to reach out to you and get connected?
I have a phone here at the office where I have an email. Either way, I'm gonna, you know, I'll respond. We can take a look at all your assets, your policies, everything that you want to insure, and you know, make sure that it's insured at the right amount.
Right.
But I would say I'm a phone guy, but I also respond to emails. But I love being on the phone. So I prefer call, but if you just have to email, that's fine as well. It all leads to the same thing.
Yeah, sure. So you see the contact info on the screen here. Reach out to Joshua, get a conversation started. And we'd love to just help see how we could better your world, lower the amount of things that you have to deal with, but also make sure you're bringing an outside professional lens to look at just your whole world. How are the people you love protected? How are your things protected? How's your income protected? Look at all those things and make sure that you're in the best possible situation to protect what you've worked so hard for. So again, Josh, thanks for taking the time today and doing this video. And if you need us, then please give us a call, reach out to us, and we'll be here to help in whatever way we can.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tyler. It's been a pleasure.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to the future of the agency.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good one. Thanks so much.
Thank you.